Okay guys, time for the day 7 update before the sun sets here. So we are Sunday and it is 22 days until race day. This morning's training was a local ride, 3 hours, just over 3 hours. Relatively low intensity, but lots of hills. So it's what I would call a general endurance ride. And then I did a little run off the bike. So that was just for musculoskeletal loading. So all in all, it was a good week. This evening I want to recap on the week as a whole, but also provide a little bit of context as to why I did what I did. So I did 2 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs, and 2 strength sessions this week. So on paper that's not a lot, and some might even argue that's not enough, especially when it comes to the running and the swimming volume. But hopefully after I've provided the context, it'll make a little bit more sense and how it all fits in together. So of those 2 swims, they were both key swims. They were the same as what our squad did here in Melbourne. And then the 3 bikes, 2 of those were longer bikes, and as I mentioned earlier in the week, one of those was making the most of a public holiday. And then of the 3 runs, 2 of them were off the bike, one of them was longer with a little bit of race intensity, and the other was just the easy run I did today. And then the other run was the key run that I did on Thursday morning. So that was scaled to about an hour, and it was an aerobic build run. And then one of the strength sessions was a Pilates session, and one of the strength sessions was in the gym, attempting to move heavy things around. So before I go any further, just want to clarify what a key session versus a supporting or general endurance session is. Key sessions are the sessions each week that really, I guess, move our performance forward. So in a race phase, they're going to be the ones that are generally longer or harder, and they're probably going to be including some race-specific intensity. Supporting sessions, as the name suggests, support those key sessions. They support general fitness and conditioning. And then general endurance sessions, they are, I guess, a form of supporting sessions. So they're about building underlying resilience, which I guess is a prerequisite of endurance sports. So the context of this week and why I guess it's a little bit more of a bike focus. So leading into the Melbourne Half Marathon, which was on the 13th of October, I did quite a big run block, and that was centered around 1 key run a week, which was long and hard, and then 2 or 3 supporting runs in the week, and then the swimming and riding was fit in around that. So my overall fitness and conditioning was very high, and still is as a result of that block, and my run fitness is in a very good place as well. But as a result of, I guess, carrying the fatigue and the emphasis being on the running for that block, I didn't do a lot of overall bike volume, and I didn't do a lot of quality on the bike, just simply because it wouldn't have fit in the week and I was carrying a lot of fatigue. So I would have struggled to get quality riding in. So what I've done off the back of that half marathon is put a little bit more focus back into the bike, and that's also coincided with, I guess, an improvement in the weather here in Melbourne. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, it is still Melbourne, but it's much better than it was 6 or 8 weeks ago, and much more predictable and consistent. So I'm using that time to both get out on the bike and spend some time in time trial position and just spend some time on the bike, but also injecting a little bit more intensity and focus in and around, I guess, race intensity on those bike sessions, now that the body is going to be able to adapt and absorb that load. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, this week also had a public holiday, so that was being an age group triathlete and coaching a squad of age group triathletes. We often try and make the most of public holidays, and much like this weekend, do weekends where we do rides on both days, just to bump up that overall riding volume and get some time just building general resilience on the bike. So it's also the reason why we don't sort of subscribe to the template form of programming, or I guess trying to fit training and life into a spreadsheet. Ultimately, we're not robots and life isn't a spreadsheet, so we need to be dynamic and flexible so we can ebb and flow with life itself. Also, one of the risks of having a program whereby you are simply trying to chase numbers or frequency of sessions in each week is it leaves you open to, I guess, just box checking. And what I mean by that is you're essentially just trying to tick off one session after the other because your barometer for success is basically ticking those boxes. So one way I like to describe that is to think of it in the context of a manager or a leader in the professional or work environment, and having employees that just check boxes versus having employees who are engaged in the process, making sure they're executing each task to the best of their ability, as opposed to just trying to get through one task so they can get onto the other one. Training's no different. You want to make sure you're actually getting what you need to out of each and every session, rather than just trying to tick the box and doing it for the sake of doing it or doing it because it's on your program. It's the reason why we have key and supporting sessions. It's the reason why we have scalability options within those sessions. It's to essentially make sure people are engaged, they're understanding what they're doing, and they can really set themselves up for those key sessions and understand the overall context and how that's going to make them fitter, stronger, faster, but ultimately help them improve long term. So I guess to sum that up, it's not about how much you do it, it's about how well you do it. And it also leads into a point about consistency and overall consistency. To me, that's not doing the same thing week in, week out for 10 weeks leading into the race. It's actually about consistency in the overall approach. And again, making sure you're improving along the way, you're being adequately prepared for the event in which you're training for, and ultimately you're enjoying it, it's fitting into your life, and you're able to be consistent with the other areas of your life, i.e. being a father, being a partner, being a business owner, being a coach, for example. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. And before I bore anyone to death, I'm going to move swiftly on to a little overview of next week. And over the next week or so, I'll also give a little bit of an overview as to why or what you'd be doing about 3 weeks out from a race. And also, I guess some of the things that we're looking to tick off outside of the training as we get to 3 weeks out. But for me, next week, I'm probably building the week around 2 bikes again, 2 main bike sessions, I should say. There'll probably be 3 in total, but 2 main ones. One will be a strength, endurance and race pacing bike, which I'll do probably on Thursday, hoping to get out and do that on the road. And then planning to do a longer ride, very similar to Tuesday's next Saturday. Somewhere in the week I'll have a longer run, that's most likely to be Sunday. 2 key swims again, Monday, Wednesday, hoping to get a third in next week as well. And then 2 to 3 strength sessions. So a couple of those sessions next week will have some race intensity work. Again, as we get closer to the race, we need to sort of dial in and do a fair bit of work in and around race pace. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm feeling good. But right now I'm heading indoors to relax, upload this video, which sometimes takes a very long time, and then get into bed so I'm ready to go in the morning. So I'll check back in tomorrow. Enjoy your evening. Cheers.